welcome. My name is Margaret. I'm here with Jonathan Ray. We are here to discuss the wonderful FileMaker platform. I'm going to cover the broadcast schedule real fast. We're doing bulk record deletion in FileMaker with Jonathan Ray today. Tomorrow will be color picker using WebViewer and FileMaker. The next 3 days will be a Nick mini series about extreme web scraping. And then on Thursday, Hansa returns to discuss calculation magic, creating PNG images, including but not limited to barcodes on the fly. So that should be interesting.
So here we go. Here's what we're doing. I have a copy of FM Starting Point, and this is our flagship product here. And I want to show you, instead of giving you a demo file that is really rudimentary, and then you having to like plug it into a copy of FM Starting Point, I want to show it to you with a copy of FMSP, and I think that'll be more helpful. Okay, so what I have here is in the contacts module, I have around 50,000 records, test records loaded up. Okay, and then we're going to be almost exclusively in this layout view, in this list view layout in contacts. I want to show you a couple things, give you a couple tools to put in your tool belt. This does come in handy, not all the time, but there are cases in which you'll want to be able to mass delete records, and you don't want to have to do that the really slow way where, say you need to delete 10,000 records. You have a bunch of duplicates, or you created a bunch of just bad data. Say you try to import a big set from Excel, right? And you had 10,000 contacts you were importing, and they came over wrong. So now you have to delete 10,000 records, or whatever the case is. But there are scenarios where you need to find a bunch of records, do a bunch of finds, and then just mass delete them. And you don't want it to take 20 minutes where you literally are stuck. You can't do anything else in FileMaker until the little dialog box goes from left to right all the way. And it takes a long time, especially if you're connected to a file on the server, and especially if you're a couple states away. I mean, it's just, it's really, really bad. So let me just show you. If I try to, let me move this out of the way. If I try to come up here to records and omit, say I'll omit 5,000 records. Whoop. What am I doing here? Records, omit multiple. There we go. Say 5,000. Okay. And then I show omitted only. So let's say I want to delete all these 5,000 records. Well, there's always the option to come up here to records and then delete found records, right? So if I click on that and I hit, yep, I want to delete all these 5,000 records. And then because this file is on a server, watch how slow this goes. Boom. Boom. And then you're just waiting and waiting and waiting, right, till we go from left to right. So we're not going to make you wait. We're going to hit stop. There's a faster way to do this, and that's what I'm going to try to demo here today. Okay, so there's not only a faster way just to delete things, but I'm going to show you how to do a couple other cool little tricks. So hopefully this will be helpful. And even with some of the live stream issues in this, it'll be fine, and you can watch the archive here, and we'll provide you with this demo file. So hopefully this will be helpful. So the first thing is this. I have here on the left a couple of modifications that we've made here. I have a SelectAll button, and then I have some quick action buttons. Okay, I'll show you what those are. And then on the left, I have these little selection boxes. Okay, so the idea is that let's say I'm in contacts, I got a bunch of records, and there's a bunch of records I want to delete. And so I could do a find, and let's say I want to find everyone in the state of California. So here's 7,000 records, right? But let's do, let's say California in San Jose. So now we have, what, 342. And so I select all of those. But I don't just want to delete the 342. There's more records I want to delete. And so let's say we find everyone in the state of Alabama. We select those. It's adding to this list. And then maybe everyone with the first name that starts with John. And here's another 127. And so this number keeps going up if we select them all. Then I can come over here and unselect a few. Like, this is not rocket science how this UI works, but how to actually get it to work in FileMaker is a little bit of a trick. And it's not super straightforward in how you would do this. There's a lot of ways to do this poorly, where you're trying to get it to work faster, but it's actually just as slow. So I want to show you a quick way to be able to get your selection. Say we're really satisfied with our 544 records here. And then in our quick actions popover, you can come over here and hit show selected. And now I'm seeing the 544 records and only those records that I've selected. So it's a neat little thing here. Okay, or I can come here and hit clear selected, and it will clear my selection. But what I want to show you first, just in demoing this, I'm going to hit this delete selected. So what we're doing here is we're going to delete the 544 records, and let's see how fast this goes. Okay, so we hit delete, we're waiting, it's spinning for a second, and then 544 records are deleted. That is a lot faster than finding records here in FileMaker, coming up to records and hitting delete all records. All right, so I want to show you how to do that, but also along with being able to delete things fast, I want to show you how to do the selection idea. Okay, so if I hit select all, we have 43,000 records here. Now watch how fast this works. If I hit select all, it's working for a little bit, but in less than 2 seconds, we have 43,000 records selected. Okay, and that's pretty fast. There's a lot of ways of doing that very slowly. And if I uncheck it, if I uncheck a record here, even though we're still working with 43,000 selections, the select and unselect is pretty fast, right? It's not too bad. And then the clear selected, if I hit that, it just boom, everything's gone, right? So a lot of things to unpack here. And Margaret, should I stop there, or are we still kind of working on the live stream stuff?
You are good.
Pretty good?
Yeah,
okay.
So
Discord people are happy or still discontent and
I think they're doing pretty good.
Okay.
I did an alternate thing so people could hear me when I ask you questions. So
all right, cool. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna dig in real quick and show you what is going on. So in layout mode, if I hit Command L for layout mode, here are all our little modifications here. We have a select all button. We have a something that looks like a button, but if I double click on it, it's a popover. And it should come up here. Yep. Okay, so that's a popover. And I have a couple placeholder buttons for you. You can do what you want with them. But when you have a selection setup going and it's fully functional, what you can do is not just mass delete things. You can have quick action buttons that does something to whatever records you have selected. So let's say you have 500 records that you want to add like a specific note to, or you want to tag it a certain way. Like there's this process that you want to perform on all your selected records, but you don't want to do that action over and over and over again and spend 4 hours creating a note for 500 records. It'd be nice to create one script and then one quick action where you have your selection, you come to quick actions, and then you say, do this thing for all of the records. So what I'm showing you here today is not just a way to mass delete records, but also kind of a way to get your mind thinking of, here's how I can make a quick action menu for all the records I have selected. So hopefully this will be helpful, okay? And then we have a clear selected button. Everything that we have selected, it'll just clear it out. And this little thing here, if you're not familiar with this yet, what you can do in FileMaker is, let's say I click here and I come to Insert, Merge Variable. Okay, that's a new option in pretty recent versions of FileMaker. And those of you that are familiar with global variables, in a script, you can write a line of code that says set variable. And if that variable has a double $sign in front of it, it means it's a global variable. And that means that it's going to stick around after the script is all done, right? It's going to stick around until you tell it not to. And so you can put that global variable, whatever that is, on the layout itself. And that's what we're doing here. So our script runs, and it's collecting all of this information. It's collecting a list of IDs, a list of contact IDs. And then this global variable is just totaling it up. So if we have, and I'll show you this here in our data viewer, here is, let's come here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 records selected. And this is our global variable that says selected contact IDs. You can see this long string of numbers. Each in the stack, each value represents a particular contact, right? So each of these people represent one of these IDs in this list. And then this global variable on the right, where it says for selected, where is it? This one right here. Count selected contacts is 4. And so it's showing up there because we have a global variable. Watch this. So if I change this global variable, and I change it to like 1,000, I can change it to whatever I want if I wanted to. Okay. And then let's try to go into layout mode and browse. And you'll see whatever the global variable is, it will it'll have that, on the merge variable on the layout. Hope that makes sense. So I'm going to clear selected. That's the overview. Okay. I want to dig into the nitty-gritty on how this works so far. I'm guessing we probably don't have any questions at this point because we really haven't done any digging yet. But
not
stop
at
me
the
if,
moment. I will let you know when they pop up. Yes.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so here's the first thing. I'm going to show you how the selection mechanism works. We've done a video in the past about how to do multi-selections, but I will just do a quick overview on this. First, in layout mode, you can see what I've done here. Okay, this is not a field. It's not a FileMaker checkbox. So what I mean by that is, if I come here to field, right, and I draw a field, is it gonna allow me to do that? Yeah. Okay, and let's say I just pick a field, whatever. You can make a checkbox. You can make this a checkbox set with a little box. Okay, but that is not what's going on here. What's going on here is this is a button. Okay, all it is a button that has a icon on it, and then another button with no icon on it. And you can see, I think you can see the little eye indicator, and that eye indicator means that there's a hide object condition on this object. This button is going to appear or disappear based on this calculation. So if this calculation is true, then this will disappear. If I click on this one, if this calculation is true, this will disappear. All right. So what are these? If I click on this one and I show the hide condition, this is saying not pattern count. This is my list of IDs, and then the contact UUID. Okay, what in the world does this mean? Okay, so if we have our stacked list of contact IDs, let's say we have 10 IDs in our list, and it's this long UUID for each one, but there's 10 of them stacked on top of each other. For each line, what it's doing is it's going in and checking that list of IDs. And it's seeing, okay, is my UUID in this list? Okay, if it's not in this list, right, if it's not in this list, then disappear this checkbox. Meaning we don't want this checkbox button to appear if that record ID is not in the selection. Okay, and then this button just does the reverse. It disappears if it is in the list, right? And so you have just a is or is not kind of condition. Okay, the reason that we are doing a button type of setup instead of a checkbox, right? If we did something like a checkbox where in FileMaker, if we come here to define database and we made something like flag selection, okay, and we define this text field here, and then we tried to put that field on the contacts layout as a selection, then it is no longer global. Here's why that's important. So if I put that checkbox on this this line here, okay, and let me just do that so you can see it. Okay, flag checkbox or flag selection. And I say it's a checkbox set that equals 1. Okay, and this is kind of look weird, but that's okay. Okay, and then browse. Okay, so I can check, 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 check. And that's kind of similar to what this is doing, right? But it's not. It's not at all. So let's say we have Margaret here, and she is logged into the same exact file that I am, okay? And she's looking at the contacts list view with the same exact found set, the 43,000 records. What she is going to see on her end right now is all of these records checked with these checkboxes, but she will not see the selections I've made here. Okay, that's the difference between a global field or a global variable and a regular text field. So what we want to do when you build quick action components in FileMaker, you want to be able to have like 100 people at any given time to be able to make their own selections and it not affect the other users. If you do a field type of selection here, whatever I select, the other person sees. And whatever they select, I see. It's messing with my selection, right? So you want your selection to be specific to you at that time. And that's why we have this type of setup here. We don't need fields for this to work. All right, hopefully that makes sense. If we have any questions on that, just stop me, okay? All right,
Yep.
so so we have 8 selected here. And for that 8, again, represents this global variable here, selected contact IDs. So we have 8 IDs in this list. All right. Let me show you kind of how that works then. Well, we can do the SelectAll. Let's do another find for, let's say, everyone in California. So there's 6,902 people. And if I hit SelectAll, it selects all of those in that found set. Here's how that script works. SelectAll. I will just debug it with you and walk through it. It's simple. Okay, so up here, this is just my standard stuff that I kind of put in every script. This is the stuff that's important. The selected contact IDs, which is, let's see right now, okay, the selected contact IDs is this list here. And if I opened it up, it would show you 6,900 and whatever IDs stacked on top of each other. Okay, what we're doing here, because we already selected all, that's not going to help us. So let's do another find for something like San Jose. Anything with San in it. Okay, 1802. And you can see a bunch of these are selected. Some of them aren't though. Okay, so we come here to select all. And then what we do is, you see this function here. It says we want a list of everything that's already in our selection plus this list of ID contacts. All right. So we have a field defined in FileMaker right now called list_ID_contacts that gives us a stacked list of everything that's in our current found set, all of the UUIDs. So if I come here to data viewer, I'll show you what I mean. If I do ListID Contacts, okay, we have a bunch of UUIDs, and I'll show you how many. Value count of ListID, okay, boom, 1802. So it's always going to be the number of records that you have in your current found set, right? So that's a really handy field to have, and that's what Nick Hunter taught us, is about this summary field that gives you a list of. So we're getting a list of the ID contacts in our found set, and then so we're basically combining that list, all 1802, with the list we already have, all right? But the we don't want to add to the 6,908 records another 1,802 because there's a lot of overlap, right? So all we're adding is maybe several hundred unique ones. So what we're doing here in this first step, this first important step, is we're combining the list. We're saying give us a list of what we already have plus the records in our found set, but only give us the unique values, right? And so here's what that does. Boom. And then we have a count of what that is, and you'll see what this changes to. Commit, refresh. So 759, right? So it gives us a combined list. That's how that select all button is working. On the individual level, here's how it's working. If I want to unselect or select a contact, I can come here and hit the button, and here's what this does. This AddRemoveListItems, this is not a FileMaker function. This is a custom function, and so this is one of the only little hat tricks we're doing. And I try to get away from using custom functions if there's something native that will do the trick, but this is just a very helpful one, okay? So what it's doing here is, again, our global variable, our selection of contact IDs. What we're saying is, in this custom function, it's called AddRemoveListItems. We're saying in this list that we already have, if our UUID is in there, then remove it. Otherwise, if it's not in there, then add it. So it's a nice little custom function that just removes it if it's in there, adds it if it's not in there. And that's what allows us to run that same script on select and unselect. All right, I hope that makes sense. So we run that, we commit the records. So what we did here in this script, again, because this record was selected and we wanted to unselect it, right? It removed it from the list. We committed the records, but you can see like we don't have a graphic at all showing. And it's because we need to refresh that object. Okay, so this button is an object, a named object. The one that's selected, I think, is named selection A, and the object that is the unselection object is named selection B. So we refresh, and now we have, what we expected, right? And then over here, where we had 759, we need to refresh that object too. So that piece of text is a named object. Refresh that. And is that going to, yeah, there we go. Okay, so that all worked. Exit script. And so if we just click it manually without debugging it, it goes very fast, right? And you don't even know all that stuff is happening. So it's pretty fast, even if we have a bunch of stuff selected, okay? That, I think, is as easy as I can explain the selection, unselection mechanism. And now we're going to move into how this mass delete thing works, okay? So deleting things is kind of a scary process, and we want to be sure that we're deleting the right things. The neat thing with this technique is that even though you can come in here in FileMaker natively and do a complex find, like let's say I want to find everyone in the state of California, and then I come up here to new request, and then I say everyone in the state of Alabama, and then I say new request, but omit everyone in Alabama who, last name starts with W. And I mean, you do this very complex find, and you can do that, and now you have a very specific set. But what you can do with my technique here is kind of neat, where let's say got everyone in California. Okay, so there's 6,900 people, but I'm like, I go through individually. Nope, I don't want that one. I don't want this one, and I'm omitting ones individually with Command T, right? So I don't want that one. Nope, 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 nope. And I'm whittling it down, okay? And I'm like, nope, not that one. And you can manually curate your list of records, and you're like, yep, okay, I'm good with all these. And then I'm going to do another find, let's say San Francisco, right? Or do we have people in Des Moines? There we go. 50 people, but I don't want this person. I don't want that person in my found set. And now I'm just adding to that group of people I've selected. Okay. Then when I'm all ready to do my big bulk action, whether it is a delete everyone action or whatever, I have some placeholders here. So I'm going to perform a major action on everyone that I just selected. And what's nice is this button here that shows you everyone that has a little check mark. Basically, I'm saying, okay, show selected. Now we're seeing all 6,933 people. Okay, so this is a little bit better technique than trying to do a very complex find and finding a very specific group of people. What you can do here is multiple finds, and come back to contacts and do another find, and it's this running list that you're collecting until you're ready to come here to quick action and do something with them. Okay, so here's how this delete whole process works. If I come here to quick actions and I hit delete selected, okay, here's what's happening. First, I'm doing a check to see if I have anything selected anyways, right? If we have nothing selected, then there's no reason to keep continuing. So if this if statement fails, if this is not true, then it will come here and say, hey, sorry, Charlie, no records were selected to delete, right? So this is just a sanity check. All right, now, so this is true, right? We do have a lot of people selected. This little check here, I'm saying if not is empty, get host IP address. And what that means is if this file is being hosted, then perform script on server. So I'm performing basically all of this stuff here on the server so it runs a lot faster. Okay, so we're doing what's called a PSAW script, perform script on server, if this solution is hosted, which means that if I'm in California and I'm connecting to a file that's being hosted in New York, and I try to delete 6,900 records on the client end, connecting a whole from West Coast to East Coast, it's going to take a lot longer than it would have if I were in New York, connected to the server in the same room, and I hit delete. So what perform script on server does is it allows you to perform at that speed as if you were there. You are on the server itself doing this action, and that's what we want. Okay. Otherwise, if it's not hosted and it's just sitting on your desktop somewhere, this file is, then you're not going to want to do a perform script on server. It's not going to work because it's not on a server, and you'll just do it manually. All right. So it performs this script on server, and then once it's done, it'll say success. Such and such number of contacts were deleted successfully. and then it closes. So let's see how long it takes to delete 6,900 records. So we perform that action, and now it's spinning, and it's going to take a little bit. Okay, whether you're on a server or not, it doesn't really matter. As far as it's not going to be a split second, is what I'm saying. It'll be a lot faster, but deleting a lot of records in a more complex table like contacts, where you have some unstored calculations and you have maybe a couple hundred fields and a lot of indexes and all this stuff, it's going to take a lot longer than, let's say, a simple table that has a couple fields and none of them are indexed. That'll be lightning fast, but things just take a while. So while this is spinning, okay, I want to show you a couple things. All right, it just got done. So I don't know how long was that? 10 seconds, so maybe a little bit longer. But you can see here an option that you can do. What I did is I said wait for completion on. So I purposefully in this script said I don't want to continue on in the script until the server has gone through and deleted the records that I told it to delete. But what you can do is you can turn that option off. And we refer to that as a fire and forget script, where you fire it off and then you forget about it. Okay, so you can tell the server, hey, I have these 7,000 records I want you to delete. Here you go. And then you go on with your business. You're not waiting for your friend, the spinning wheel, to stop spinning. Okay, so that's one way of doing it, where you're just fire and forget. But the big takeaway here is that doing it on the server is going to be a lot faster than doing it manually. Okay, I'll show you what this script actually does in a second here. Okay, but that's the idea. Okay, and then it shows our success message. 6,933 contacts have been deleted, and then we want this to go away because, of course, we don't have any records selected anymore. They're all toast, right? So we clear those global variables out. They're gone. And then until we refresh the window, that global variable is going to stay. So we hit refresh, end if, and then we're done. Okay, so that's how a quick selection or a quick deletion process works. Let me show you the actual script that's running it here. Okay, so this is this quick action button, this delete selected thing, this red button, performs this script here, delete selected records client. Okay, so when you have a script that's calling a PSOS script, a perform script on server script, you want to distinguish very carefully which one it is, right? So what I do, my naming mechanism is I name the one that's called client, and then I specifically name the one that's working on the server. I label that with PSOS at the end. Okay, so on the client end, what you're doing is you're getting you have your global variable, your selection of contact IDs. In our case right now, we have, I think, like 5 selected or 3 selected. Okay, so you have your list, and then you're saying I want to do a certain action with that list, and so you're saying perform script on server, and you select the script that you want. In this case, it's this one here. And then in the parameter, what you're doing is you're giving it that list of IDs. So that stacked list of 3 contact IDs, you're passing it off to the server. It's kind of like a mail person that you're giving the mail to, and you're saying, deliver this thing to where I want you to deliver it. And then the person who receives that mail is unpacking it and doing something with it. That's exactly what we're doing here with a perform script on server. We're packaging our global variable, and we're saying, okay, Mr. Server, here you go. Now do something with that. And here's what it does. Here's what the server does. It comes to a layout called delete record deletion, or DEL for delete, record deletion. It creates a new record, sets this, commits, delete, commit. All right, so this might be very confusing because you might have expected to see like a delete all records or a looping script or something. But this is a trick that Nick Hunter taught us that's really, really valuable. It's very, very helpful. Let me show you how it works. So if I come here and I have my my selection, I'm just going to manually copy this, okay? And then I come to new window, and you can see we have a brand new layout that's just a utility layout called contact record deletion, right? I'm going to create a new record. I'm going to paste this in here, okay? So I have 3 IDs, and then watch what happens over here when I delete this record. Watch what happens to the count. I'm going to hit delete record, delete, boom, they go away. Okay, so how does that work? Here's the little trick. If I go into define database, you can see that this deletion table, utility table, just has one field in it. That's it, ID contacts. And then in relationships, here's our deletion utility table that has literally one field, and it will only have ever one record in it. And then it's connected to contacts. Okay, here's our contacts table. The connection is this ID contacts field and our UUID ID contact. So here's what I'm saying. And then it says delete related records when the record's deleted over on the left side. All right, so here's what all that means. If I come here and I click new record, and I have three UUIDs here, and those 3 UUIDs match 3 that's over here in contacts, because I have the relationship set up to cascade delete, to delete the related contacts. Any contacts that match an ID in here will be deleted when I delete this record here in the utility table. That's true if you put 3 IDs in here or 3 million IDs in here. You delete one time, you delete the record one time in this utility table, and it will delete all matching records in your contacts table. And that's a really cool trick. So you don't have to do a loop and then delete record, delete record, delete record, delete record until it's all done. And you don't have to do a delete all records. All you do is come to this utility table, you plop in your IDs, and any of them that match the ones in contacts, those contacts will be deleted if you tell it to delete. So that's essentially what we're doing. Let me step through it with you manually, and then I'll stop for questions here. So we got 8 records selected. Let's see. Okay, we got 5 records. Let's do more than that. Let's say Washington. Okay, so we got 511. We select all. Okay. Quick actions, and then I say delete selected. Okay. Now, what we're going to do here is, instead of doing it on the server, we're going to do it in our deletion layout. And because I want to actually show it to you, if you did it locally, I have a hidden layout, but I want to actually show it to you. I don't want to hide it. Okay, so let's not do any of that. But let's say get window left plus 100. Okay, so it'll just resize it a bit. Okay, let's try it out then. Debugger, delete selected. Okay, we're going to step through it manually. I'm going to select this. We're going to act as if we don't want to perform it on the server. Okay, we'll come here, new window. So now we're in our utility deletion layout. We create a brand new record, and then watch what it does. We've told it to plop in whatever records we've selected. Boom. Okay, so now there are, 511 records in there. Commit. Okay, now, again, anything that matches any contact ID that is included in this list, in this utility table, will be deleted the moment I delete this record in the utility table. So I come here and I hit delete record request. Boom. It spins for a second. It says it's gathering records. And then it should do what we need it to do. Because this file is hosted, you're seeing how much slower it is if you do it on the client end. And you're seeing the big speed payoff of doing it on the server, okay? Because that would have taken maybe a split second doing it on the server. Commit, I close that window, select, and it says, yeah, you've deleted 511 records, okay? And then we're done. But that's how that works. That little utility table is really, really neat. Let me come back to that here. So it's in the layout drop-down area, and there should only be one record ever when you're messing with it in a script, right? Usually it's just 0 records in this utility table. The only reason it is even in existence here is to delete contact records, right? And so I'm hoping that some of that is helpful. There's a hodgepodge of stuff we learned in this live stream, other than the Discord stuff and that type of thing. But
yes.
the things that really matter, right, are the tricks on how to select things very quickly, right? Make a bunch of selections, and then be able to do quick actions based on those selections. One of them being a mass delete with that. So hopefully that is helpful. Margaret, we got any questions going on or not really?
We do, actually. Does
Okay.
get host IP address give you the IP of the server?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Next question.
So if it's empty, it means it's not being hosted, because every server will have an IP address. So if you're checking and you're saying, all right, now if there is if it's empty host IP address, then what you're checking to see is this thing hosted at all? If it's not, then you shouldn't try to perform script on server script step. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, next question. Any idea why cascade delete is so much faster? You mentioned unstored calcs and indexes. Skipping unstored calcs should be skipped with either method of deleting. Does normal deletion clear out indexes and cascade delete leave them added file size stuff? Is something else going on? Question mark.
So I think what's happening, if you ran a test, right, with FMSP, okay, and we have 162 fields in context. You see all these indexes, indexed, and then we have some unstored calculations, all that sort of thing, okay? And you have a bunch of stuff like related to contacts. So if you have contacts and you have also cascading deletes turned on like notes, for instance, if you have a contact and you delete the contact and you've set it up where you want all notes to be deleted when the contact's deleted, and that's not the case here, right? Then it just takes longer to delete things no matter what, right? Compare that to, say, a file that had 162 fields, just like this one, but none of them were calculations, and that table isn't related to like anything. I guarantee you it's going to be faster to delete in that table, because things are just simpler. And I'm almost positive that indexing does slow down record deletion. I know for a fact it slows down importing and exporting. So that's something to consider there. But I don't think we're really getting into the nitty-gritty of indexing, but just know that cascading delete is faster then coming up here and hitting delete all records.
Okay. Hopefully that answers your questions, Stu. Let me know if it doesn't. Delete cascade will trigger even if it's not in context, question mark.
Even if it's not in context. So I think what you mean is if like from a utility table like this. I think that's what he means. I'm not sure. So maybe I need some clarification on that one.
Yeah, David, if you could restate that real fast, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
I think he's on the audio delay, so it might
Yeah,
take...
that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, so this is a little bit of a different thing to get your mind wrapped around if you're not used to having multi-values in a match field. So say you have a table on the left connected to a table occurrence on the right. Usually in FileMaker, it's just a one-to-one thing. Like you have ID contact equals ID contact. ID constant equals ID constant. And so you have one value matching another one value in this record matching another value in this record, in this table. Okay. But what we're doing here is we're having like a bunch of potential values on the left-hand side. You could have 1,000,000 values on the left-hand side. And anytime that you have a record with a value that matches from the right, it's a valid relationship. And so it was years before I understood that, yeah, you can put multiple values in a match field and it still work great. And so that's a key concept in this whole demo. If some of this doesn't make sense because some of this is kind of new stuff, I hope that you'll dig into the sample file that we provide in the show notes here. It shows you everything we have here minus the 50,000 records. I think I will
repost.
Yeah, I think I left in like 5 sample records or something. So you'll need to add a bunch if you want to really see the capabilities, see how fast it is with a bunch of records. Hopefully this will be a help.
Oh, wait,
right.
we got questions. So
Sure.
Can you show the custom function, please?
Yeah. So here we go. Manage custom functions. And this is an FMSP has a bunch of custom functions. I don't know if we use everything, but add, remove, list items. I'm not sure who I even got this from. Yeah, it's someone. This is Bruce Robertson, and it's from the Brian Dunning custom functions library. And so this is a really handy one. Add, remove, list items. Now, ask me to walk you through how exactly it works. I haven't even looked at this calculation, to be honest with you. I just know it works, and that is that you have a list of items, and then you're telling it if this value is in the list, remove it. Otherwise, if this value isn't in the list, then add it. So it's add, remove, list items, and I'm sure you can find that by just typing it in on the Brian Dunning custom functions library.
Interestingly, multiple values in a match field only works left to right. If you go right to left, it doesn't work.
That is correct.
It's just a FileMaker shenaniganery, I think. Okay.
And you can do an unstored calculation in as a match field, but only on the left. That's an interesting one too. So you probably shouldn't do that. Okay. I don't know if there's a bunch of scenarios where that would be great, but I know I have used it. And so that's something you can do.
Cool. There we go. In that respect, I think I'll probably get things wrapped up. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jonathan.
All right. Sure thing. All right. Great to be on here with you. And I'm hoping that this is helpful for the whole FileMaker community and just another tool in your tool belt, as I like to say, and something you can keep on hand when the scenario presents itself. These quick action features do come in handy, here and there.
Yep. No, people are saying this has been really interesting. This is really well explained. Thank you.
Cool.
And this has been great stuff. So I think you succeeded. Absolutely.
All right. Awesome. Sounds great. Well, thanks, Margaret.
And we'll see you all tomorrow. And next time Jonathan is on, we won't have these audio issues.
Sounds good. All right. Take care, everyone.
report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir!